Hello all. Today I'm going to show you a quick tutorial on how to create a Windows 10 virtual machine using VirtualBox. So, before we get started, we're going to need two different programs. The first one is VirtualBox, and this can be found using a quick Google search, but I'll include the link in the description. Once you get to the VirtualBox page, we'll go to Downloads, Windows Hosts, and then you'll download this executable, which I've already downloaded. The second one we're going to need is the media creation tool. So this here you can find using a simple Google search, and then down here we'll go to Windows 10 for our version, and then you'll hit the download tool now. This one I already also have downloaded, and I'll include this link as well so you don't have to search this up yourself, but I figured I'd go through the process of finding it. So navigate to the place where you downloaded those two executables. We'll first kick off the media creation tool, because that is going to take a while to create the ISO. So once this boots up, it's going to get a few things ready, and I'll take you through this process. I already have an ISO created myself, but I'm going to show you how to create your own ISO file to use for your virtual machine. Now we're going to come across this screen. We're not going to want to upgrade our PC, we want to create installation media, specifically this ISO file right here. We'll hit next. We'll use the recommended options for this PC for right now just to make it easy. And then now we're going to choose ISO file. This is here if you want to create a bootable USB to upgrade another computer, but for now we only want the ISO file. So it's going to have you select a path, let's say here for example. It'll get a few things ready, and then it'll start downloading the files it needs to create the ISO. Once the ISO file has been created, now we're going to actually install VirtualBox. So navigate to that executable that you downloaded from the VirtualBox page, run this, and go through the setup wizard. I'm not going to show you how to do this because I don't want to create a duplicate program of this for myself, but it's pretty simple. Next, and you'll be able to hit install and choose an install location. Keep all those locations default to make it easy. But I'm just going to boot up my own version. So this is what the home page looks like right here. So in order to create a new virtual machine, we're going to hit new. So the name it whatever you like. Okay, and the next one right here is the machine folder. This is where it's going to actually keep the local files for the virtual machine. If you want to store this in a different location, I suggest you do so. Just choose a location here by hitting the other box, and then you can choose a folder for it to save. Next, we'll choose the type, Microsoft Windows, and the version, Windows 10. We'll hit next. So now we'll have to create the amount of memory that we're going to allocate to the virtual machine. The recommended is about 2 gigs. I'd recommend more around 4 gigs, but that's going to depend on how much RAM is available to your machine. Whatever you do, do not use the maximum amount of RAM that you can possibly give, because you still have to leave enough RAM for your home machine to actually run. So I'd probably say about 2 to 4 gigs is probably good, if, as long as you're not running anything super complex, but we'll keep it to 2 for now. Next, we'll create a virtual hard disk. So this is where our storage is going to be. So we'll keep this the same, VirtualBox disk image. Dynamically allocated, this basically means that whatever size of the drive that we choose, it's not going to automatically take up that space. It will only take up to that space depending on how many files we save. So we'll keep this dynamically allocated. Then we'll do the file location and the size. So we'll keep this the same, and we'll keep it to about 50 gigs. And then we'll do that. We'll hit create, and then now we're good. So now we're going to hit the start button to start the machine, and now is where we're going to load the ISO. So we need to choose the location where we save that ISO. We'll hit add, and then it'll ask to choose a virtual optical disk file. I have one saved already, but navigate to the one that you created from that media creation tool. Now that it's loaded here, we'll hit choose, start, and then do this, and then now it's actually going to go through the install process and act as if this is a fresh new PC. So I'm going to cut here until after I have this install complete, and I will see you in a second. So just in case you need help actually going through the installation process, I'm going to take you through that real quick. If not, feel free to skip over to the end. So it's going to ask you to activate Windows. You can hit I don't have a product key for now, but if you are intending this for long-term use, you should have a product key, otherwise that's not allowed. That's pretty illegal. So we'll hit Windows 10 Home for now. This is a temporary machine that we're only using for demo purposes. We're going to hit I accept the license terms. Then we're going to hit Custom. We're going to hit this unallocated space. Notice how it's 50 gigs. That's the same amount of size that we gave it when we were first creating the virtual machine. So we'll make sure this is clicked and hit Next. And then here it's actually going through the installation process. So I'm going to let this go through. This will take a few moments depending on how quick your hard drive is, as well as a number of other factors, but I will see you in a second. So once it actually goes through the installation process, it's going to have to restart. We'll let this go through real quick. So this will take an additional minute because it's a first time installation setup, so it's getting all of its drivers ready to go, getting your file system ready to go. It's doing a lot of things, but it will only take a minute, shouldn't take too long. So now that it's gone through its first time setup, Cortana is going to take you through the installation process. I usually go down to this microphone button right here and mute her because I don't want to listen to it. However, this is entirely up to you. So we're going to give it a second, choose our country, me being the United States. Okay, we'll choose our keyboard layout. If you want to add a second keyboard layout, by all means do so. I'm going to skip this because I don't need a second keyboard layout. Once this loads, it's going to ask you to set up your network as well as your user account, so it'll be just a second. So for my installation, it automatically skipped the network setup, probably because it thinks this is a wired connection, because it is a virtual machine, but now it's going to take you to this account screen. So unfortunately, because it's already hooked up to the network, it's going to force you to sign in with a Microsoft account. You can remove this later by hitting the Learn More button. It'll tell you to go to Settings, Accounts, Your Info, and then sign in with a local account instead. And that's how you can remove your Microsoft account, but for now, you'll have to enter in your information. I'm going to cut here until after I've already entered in my information. I don't want to show my password or my account on screen, so I will see you in a second. So once you sign in with your Microsoft account, it'll ask you to create a Windows Hello pin. So I believe this is not a choice either. You can get rid of this later, but for now we'll just enter one in real quick. I'll just do a simple one. I guess I did it too simple. Okay, so if you want to continue what you're doing, you can enable this. I usually disable that, but that's entirely up to your preference. I'll hit do it later on here. In fact, that's a number that no longer exists. Problem with my account, but if you want to link up your phone to your computer, you can do that. I personally only save files to this PC, but if you want to set up OneDrive, now's the time. So here you can apply for a free Microsoft 365 trial. I'm not going to do that for now, but that's up to you. So I usually like to disable Cortana. However, if you choose to want Cortana, by all means you can, but that's a hard no for me. So now you'll choose your privacy settings. My personal choice is I like to turn off almost all of these. I don't want them knowing my location or using any of my typing data. It makes me a little uncomfortable, but again, it's entirely up to you. Once we configure our privacy settings, we'll give it just a minute to do any last minute setup. So now it'll take you to this screen. We've successfully finished the post-install processes, including creating our account, configuring our network, and then now it's going to do some last minute touches, and then we'll be able to use our PC. So now that it's finished, which is with its polishing touches, now we have our PC. So we can get rid of this, go into if it wants to, there we go, display settings, and you can change the resolution here to be slightly bigger. However, if you want to better change your resolution, I would recommend installing VirtualBox Guest Editions. This will allow you to auto resize your virtual machine depending on the size of your window. However, this is a little bit out of the scope of the video, but there are definitely some easy tutorials out there that'll teach you how to do that. So, but we'll keep this to 1280 by 124, 1024 for now. And then here, it's created our user. We've got a functioning screen, and there we go. So I'd like to thank you for taking time out of your day to watch this and learn a little bit more about how to create a virtual machine. Thank you. One more thing I forgot, sorry about this, but if you ever wanted to actually change the amount of resources that you allocate to your virtual machine, you can go up here to Machine and Settings. Here you can actually go into System, change the amount of memory that you allocated for RAM, as well as change the amount of CPU cores that you give it at a time. I would recommend bumping this up to at least 2. Default it is 1, but I'd recommend booting that up. And then you can also change the amount of video memory that is allocated. So, pretty simple here. Thought I'd show this to you real quick. Simple and easy configuration. Now I promise that's it. Thank you all for watching and have a good night.